Hello and welcome back to episode 16 of Make Gears Great Again. This episode is about insight and what it can do for you in Gears of War, as well as how important it is for any player. Insight is known as one of the most important and complex things to learn in Gears of War. So don't feel bad if you don't understand the video. When you've played enough, you'll recognize the things I'm mentioning. So what does insight mean? Insight is when you perceive a certain situation clearly, often occurring suddenly during or before it happens. During the time of this series, Gears of War is plagued by players who have no insight, new and old alike. Personally, I've witnessed a lot of players act almost brain dead, with little to no response to what's going around them. But why do I care what others do? Why don't I just focus on my own things? Well, the answer is that the game industry these days don't generally award actual insight, experience, or passion. A lot of games have turned into hand-holding platforms where the player realizes they've either thrown away money or want to learn what most of us have learned, but because they're so used to the easy way, they no longer understand the importance of seeking their ways themselves. And I'm here to share my ideas with you, so I at least do something good for others with my experience. Now back to insight. Doing anything for 10,000 hours or more, or repeating something for 10 years, will give you a lot of knowledge if you've ever stopped and analyzed yourself. Which I have to do. And not just in the game, but also in life. I've had to evolve to a new person because of my insight and priorities. But the same has happened in Gears of War. Things you could only have learned 8 or 10 years ago no longer happen today, and that's keeping a lot of players back. Right now, a whole generation of experience and knowledge is going to waste because of players' lack of insight. If you're a newer player or not as skilled as many veterans, chances are you've faced players who seem as if they're cheating, as if they know what you're going to do before you even know what you're going to do, either killing you or killing your whole team. This is the power of insight in Gears of War, and it comes from the playtime against equals that test each other's limits and ideas. It stimulates your brain to actually try different approaches and see how other players react. Gears of War isn't your typical one-shot shooter, where 1 or 2 shots or 4 shots from any range could kill you. So becoming insightful isn't as quote-unquote simple as that. You're going to have to get dead and dirty before your brain makes the proper connections. I know that it sounds boring, but it basically means you're going to have to put in the equal effort that others are putting in. That's when you'll learn what you're doing right and wrong in what situation. This doesn't mean you're going to win fights all of a sudden, but you could learn a lot more about what happens when you're actually pushing back rather than just reacting. Insight and practice go hand in hand, but what determines a winner is how far they've pushed themselves under pressure and how far they're willing to go. So what do you do to increase your insight? You try harder every game, and make sure you don't talk down on yourself while you're doing that. Gears of War is notoriously difficult to learn and even harder to master, but stick to it and never quit. Make sure you watch others do things that you can't do yet and ask many questions, especially if they're friendly, because then you might even want to ask if they can teach you what you want to learn. That's it for this episode of Make Gears Great Again. The series is slowly coming to an end, and I'd like to thank everyone for their incredible support thus far. Make sure to leave a comment on what your favorite methods of learning on Gears of War are, because I'm curious to know. And as always, take care until next time.